Hey, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to share with you basically what I believe is the number one takeaway of this book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. It's basically a book about why most small businesses don't work and basically what to do about it. So if you get nothing else out of this book, this is the one thing that you want to pay attention to. It is basically the entrepreneurial perspective, and I believe that if there's one reason why you're going to read this book is to basically understand the entrepreneurial perspective. And it starts out with this little lesson right here that an entrepreneur, what separates an entrepreneur from what I am going to call an employee? Michael Gerber calls it the technician, but it's basically the entrepreneur mindset. If I can spell that right, mindset, the entrepreneur mindset versus the employee mindset. So the entrepreneur, what the entrepreneur does is that he actually begins, step one for an entrepreneur is to get a clear picture, a well-defined picture of what the future looks like. And I love the definition that Michael Gerber gives for the entrepreneur in this book, which is basically the visionary in us, essentially the dreamer. And I'm gonna walk you through why the entrepreneur is more of a visionary and a dreamer, whereas the employee is not so much of a thinker. Thinking is a waste of time. They are more of a doer, right? They want to get stuff done. I was about to curse, but I held myself. So anyways, the entrepreneur begins with a clear picture of what the future looks like. So he has basically a dream, and he says, okay, my business, when it's all done, all said and done, it's going to look like this. And so when the entrepreneur goes to work, what they work on is basically on matching the vision that they started with. All right, so let me walk you through why this is the difference between what Michael Gerber calls the difference between working on your business with an O versus working in your business with an I. Working in your business is what employees do. Working on your business is what entrepreneurs do. So I'm going to share with you actually personal experiences and basically hope that you learn from some of my early mistakes when I first started as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I started out working in my business, and here's how it actually started. So I started out as a real estate agent. I went out and I got my real estate license, got my whole business cards and all of that, and here I am as a brand new entrepreneur, never done business in my life before. I've only worked for other people before. My parents were also employees. They never really owned their own businesses, so I didn't even know that there was a difference in mindset between owning a business, being an entrepreneur, working on your business, and working in your business. And so I'm sitting here, I got my real estate license, I got business cards, but I have a problem that no one is calling me to buy or sell a house. So I'm basically clueless, wondering what do I need to work on? At this point, the idea of thinking about what my business should look like was not even a thought, right? And this is one of the key differences between an entrepreneur and an employee. An entrepreneur basically starts out with that question: is how must the business work? What is it going to look like once it's done? Once it's complete, right? You start out with the vision of the future, whereas an employee, what I was doing was, I don't know about the future. I need to start making some sales right now. So what work do I need to do right now? I'm not worried about the future. I'm basically worried about the present. So here's the difference. Entrepreneurs live practically in the future. Employees live in the present. And so as I got started in business, I basically started to engage in busy work. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out how to get people to call my phone, and I'm thinking, well, I need to start reaching out to people. I need to call everyone that I know, let them know that I'm in real estate. I need to organize my desk. I need to basically make sure that all my paperwork for my taxes and all of this stuff. And here's the other thing is that because I am an employee and I have no idea what a business is supposed to do, I'm thinking that, hey, anything that needs to be done for the business, I gotta do it myself, right? Because I don't know anyone else. For one, I can't really afford to pay anyone else, so I'm not even thinking about hiring anyone else to do things like customer service, bookkeeping, so I am essentially, as I engage in busy work, I also start to engage in a couple dozen different jobs. I am customer service, I am a marketer, I am basically a salesperson, I am my own negotiator, I write the contracts, I find the houses, I basically do everything myself. And so before you know it, I was basically working 80 to 100 hours a week, where I was just doing busy work. The idea of even taking a break to think about what my business was going to look like in the future, again, was not even a thought. And really what attracted me, what really caught my attention a lot of times was basically wanting to learn how to information, right? Like, how do I get leads? How do I run my business? How do I, do this and do that? And essentially, I am not taking a break from working in my business, right? I'm not going out for a walk with a journal and trying to create a vision for the future. I'm too busy working. And this is essentially what Michael Gerber defines as the reason of why most small businesses don't work, is because when we get started, at least when I got started, we're just so stuck in the present moment working in the business that we do not take time to work on our business. And so before you know it, we get into a daily routine where I wake up, I do some marketing in the morning, I call some of my leads, and then I go show houses. I go basically until dinner time, and then after dinner time I go on listing appointments, and by the time I get home, I'm basically trying to do some more marketing and basically working from the moment that I wake up until I faint. And so after, at first I'm excited because I'm starting to make I'm basically writing my own check. I'm essentially controlling my own schedule, and I'm thinking like, hey, I got my independence. I'm essentially my own boss. No one tells me what to do or anything else. But I start falling into a routine, and you can only keep up this kind of work for so long before you realize I can't do all of this myself, right? And that's when you go from being in an infancy type of business, and Michael Gerber walks you through the whole progression of from going from infancy to a mature business, right? So you can read the book if you want to learn more about that journey. But really what I believe is the most important part here is that you're starting to get the difference, the perspective between what I started like, which was the employee perspective, basically trying to figure out what do I need to do, taking on busy work, do yourself, how to routine. And here's the biggest thing. As a real estate agent, the way that I was running my business was that I was the business. If I didn't work, if I didn't put in all these 80 to 100 hours, then there was no business. And that is basically the recipe for disaster that Michael Gerber defines as this is why most small businesses don't work, is because there was never any time taken to define a future and see, hey, this business at the end of the day, like once it's all said and done, which could be, 5 years, it could be 10 years, right? We're talking about way out in the future. I should have basically sat down and said, hey, people call me, right? And I have systems where, we go on listing appointments, and all of that is done whether or not I am present in the business or not. Meaning I could be traveling. I could be, spending time with family. I could be taking on something, that I'm passionate about, maybe learning, how to play an instrument or anything like that. And the business is running without me, right? I am not the business. The business is a separate entity. And in order for you to do that is you have to get away from always constantly taking on busy work and getting more into this activity of thinking. Remember, the entrepreneur is the visionary and the dreamer inside of us. So if I were to define what an entrepreneur does, what is the most, or I should say the highest income producing activity of an entrepreneur, it's this right here. It's growing that skill of being a visionary and being a dreamer, which translates to painting a very clear picture of what the future looks like. And I'm talking detailed. I am talking very specific. And I'm going to share with you one last thought, because I believe that this skill right here is useful not only for business, but also for health, relationships. And so I want to give you an example of, health and or relationships basically is, your health. A lot of people may have a goal of, hey, I want to, maybe I'm a size 34 jeans and I want to go down to size 32. That could be somewhat, specific, but if you want to be an entrepreneur when it comes to health, you can take that goal and get even more detailed, get even more specific, and say that, hey, what are your energy levels like if you were to get fit? What are maybe, things that you do once you get to that health, state that you're looking for? Are you out doing, things outdoors? Are you exercising more? Are you able to, maybe have energy to play with your kids? The more detailed and specific, the clearer that's where this well-defined part comes in. So your job is to paint a picture of what the future looks like and go to work. Going to work on your business basically means that you're working on defining, on getting detailed, getting specific, right? You may start out with a one-sentence goal and then start to expand that into a paragraph. Take that paragraph, and next thing you know, you have an entire Word document. I have actually a Word document for different goals in my lives. Some of them are about, one of them is actually about 25 pages long, and that's because, I didn't sit down just one day and wrote it all out. I actually worked on that for about 4 to 5 months, painting a clear picture, right? People call me, okay, what kind of people? How am I involved with that? If I'm not involved, who is involved with that? Who's handling the calls? How are they handling the calls? How are they treating the customers? Is the customer having a good experience? What's that experience like? Right? You start to basically break down every little step. How long am I working? Am I working 80 to 100 hours a week? Or am I able to work maybe a 4-hour work week? Right? You got to define, because if you don't, this is where you end up. If you define it, if you want to work 10 hours, if you want to work 20, if you want to work 40, whatever you decide, that's what you're going to get. If you don't decide any of this, you're likely going to end up over here by default. What you don't want is easily available. So I can keep going on about this, but hopefully you got the idea of the main difference here between an entrepreneur and an employee. Your job is to basically learn how to work on your business, not in your business. Get away from the word work. Step out of your business. Take time to think. Take time to dream. Paint a vision of what the future looks like. And if you want to work on your business, get really clear on it. Now you can go to work on matching that vision. Your work now has a purpose, as opposed to just having a daily routine, daily grind, just a place to go to work. I really hope that you got value from this video. If you want more information, check out the resources that I posted below in the description of this video. And be sure to check out my website, Free Up Time, Enjoy Life More. Have a great one, and I will see you on the next.